Hi, coaches. Welcome back to Bigs Rule the World. I'm Coach Allen. We want to bring you episode 17. I got a short little mini series, 2 little short episodes here for you as we're cranking into December. Whether or not you are a coach who's getting ready to go into his season now, like I am in February, or you're a coach who's coming out of his season, or you might be a coach who's getting ready for a state championship right now. We got good topics on hand for you right here, and I want you to get a chance to take a look at it and see these next 2 topics. I want you to see what it can do for your offensive lineman, what it can do for you all as an offensive line unit, and for your kids. Okay, big thing that you need to do: sign up for my newsletter, man. I hit on this series and talked about it a few weeks ago prior to Thanksgiving in my newsletter, and I'm hoping to get some good feedback there. And I think it's been one of the biggest things when I focused on that's changed my offensive linemen's lives around, changed their whole attitude when it comes to being a player because it makes them more powerful. And the thing I'm going to talk about today is hip flexibility. So if you want to get an early head start on this type of stuff, you need to sign up for the newsletter, because sometimes I will debut stuff on the newsletter and then hit you with it with a series later. So sign up for the newsletter. It's in the description. Hit that subscribe button. We've been doing great with subscribers. It is November 20th as I film this, and we're getting close. We're pushing right now 300 subscribers. I'm trying to get that sucker up as high as we can, guys. I'm excited for y'all. We have also in the newsletter a couple different paid content items. You can go check those out. It's some good stuff, guys. I wouldn't give you anything less. But my full effort, my full extent, and those packages are going to change up in December as we get closer to our spring season. So go attack those now before after December ends. They're going to change up in January. Now, what I'm going to talk about today is hip flexibility and why it's important for offensive linemen to train hip flexibility. So really the 3 main issues I see here is with hip flexibility is you see linemen who aren't able to get into their stance properly. Okay, linemen, we're having to stay in a stance that's sort of uncomfortable for us. We're big guys bent down. Okay, a lot of times we're 3-point guys, a hand on the ground. We got to have our head up. We got to be looking through defenses, and then we got to explode off the ball. Okay, and a lot of times you can tell if a guy has good hip flexion if he can sit his heels, the heel flexion too. If you can sit his heels on the ground, that means his hips are synced low, his butt's down low. He's not sitting up high, and he has a good position to spring load almost and fire out to his opponent. So we need it to be in our stance. We need it when we get past our stance to the driving point. I've talked about this before with the driving point. I talked about it in my newsletter on why we train power clean, train the clean so much. You want to get your hips rolled in like you do on a power clean and fire up through that defensive lineman. If you're the offensive lineman, you want to fire up through him. That's a big deal, guys. You want to get your hips. I teach my guys almost just being blunt, get your dick on his dick and fire up through there. Okay? So we're teaching them an explosive movement with their hips right there to fire off. And why they need to do that, a lot of times you'll see guys when we push a sled, or you see them when they're driving an opponent, they're doing everything wrong. It looks like I compared it to Atlas. The idea of Atlas pushing the rock up the hill. You got head down, arms over your shoulders, extended like that. That is not a power position. That's where my hips are back, my butt's back. I want my hips and my butt up. So I got to teach the hip flexibility, the hip explosion there. Okay, and then the final one, man, is just the power base and the striking point. We teach our big guys, 6'8", 300-some-pound guys, that the low man wins. So we got to get them to be low and not just be a waist bender, because it's one thing to be a waist bender. This guy right here, that guy's a waist bender. You want to have a guy who can have his chest up, still be lower than you, and almost bench press the defender as he comes up through him. That's what you want ideally as an offensive line coach, and we're not training it with hip flexibility. Okay, I'm going to get very, This is one thing that I think, as we get into December, January, February, I'm going to try to get you all some more content when it comes to training methods for the offensive lineman, because I know we're getting into an area now where we want to talk about, what's his pass kick look like in camps? Screw that shit, man. What's his hip flexibility like? What's his hips look like? When he hits a block, what's he look like? Okay? And there are guys who can dominate with their size and do this. But when they get the better defensive linemen, they're going to get their ass whooped. Okay? That's just me being blunt. So today's video was just why hip flexibility is important. Number one is the stance. Number two is how we drive or how we roll an opponent. Number three is our strike point. We got to stay low. All three of those things work together to create the importance of hip flexibility. In my next video, I told you it would be a really short series, but it's a really important series for offensive linemen. I'm going to have something set up for you when January comes for how we train hip flexibility in offensive linemen. Today we were talking about the importance. Next time I'm going to teach you 3 drills we work on through the offseason to prepare our offensive linemen as far as hip flexibility is concerned. I think we got one of the best guys at our staff. He's a track coach, and he's been stressing hip flexibility and mobility. Okay, and I think it's great. I think it's the number one thing. And, when we stress it in the offensive line side of the field, I'm starting to see it, especially with my first group now, some with my second group, where they're able to ride that guy, drive that guy more. First, it starts with the stance. The stance starts to look better. Then it starts with the drive. The drive starts to look better. Now we just got to get to the striking point where we're being the low man and the low man's winning. Okay, so we're going through all the development right now, November and December, to get ready for spring season. I want you, no matter when your season is, to be successful with good linemen who have great hip flexibility. All right, coaches, it's a topic that fires me up. It's a short little video, but it's a topic that fires me up. I thank you for listening. Come back next time. We'll talk to you about 3 drills you can apply that'll increase or better prepare your linemen to be flexible in the hips. Teach those big boys to bend those hips, man. Don't be just a waist bender. Okay, and remember, coaches, all this is about scoring big points and winning games. To do that, you got to know that you got to dominate in the trenches. And to do that, you got to know that bigs rule the world. I'll see you later, coaches. Happy holidays.